Reaching to KNC 1490 106.7 FM on this Thursday. Currently 73 degrees in downtown Hettinger. Time for our TTO segment. We've got Anthony Larson in this morning. Good morning, Anthony.
Good morning, Sean. Happy Thursday to you.
Yeah, almost Friday.
Yeah, these weeks fly by. We must be having fun.
I guess so. So, what do we want to discuss this morning, Anthony?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to once again come in and provide an update to the public regarding the most recent county commission meeting. So, the Adams County Commission does meet monthly. Typically, it's on the second Tuesday of each month. This month, it was on October the 10th. September the 10th. So I'll just run through some of the highlights and would like to put my cell phone out if people have questions at any time. I'm happy to try to address them. My personal cell is 701-928-1240. This meeting, I actually was away from Hettinger, and so I participated by phone. So that's not always easy to do, trying to hear everything. We did approve some additional equipment. So whether it be a commissioner want to participate or somebody from the public want to participate at a meeting, that we would have better audio communication. So hopefully we'll get that in place. But for this meeting, I did my best over the phone. With that, we did make some reappointments to the Adams County Planning Commission. Susie Ruther and Wes Schwartzwalter were reappointed to that Planning Commission. Howard Nelson's term additionally had expired, and he did not wish to be reappointed. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Howard for his service on the Planning Commission. Certainly, I think most in the area would appreciate he's been a long-time community servant, providing a lot of leadership on the County Commission and various other places. So thank you to Howard for his service there. And so with his retirement from the Planning Commission, there's an open position. Generally, there's an effort to try to have those participants representative of the whole county. And so as it's been looked at, it looks like the Haines area could use some representation. So there will be some folks requested to see if there is interest. But if anybody listening would have interest from that general Haines area, please reach out to myself or any of the county commissioners as to your interest in serving on that planning commission. Directly tied to that, the Planning Commission does receive a meeting per diem. So there is compensation for your time. Certainly we all give much of goodwill, I think, throughout our lives and throughout our communities, but traditionally there's been a $45 per meeting per diem. That's been that way for a lot of years. And so we did take action to increase the per diem to $60 effective January 1 of 25. So the frequency and the length of the meetings vary, but certainly everybody's time is valuable, and so that action was taken. In addition, our interim road superintendent, Justin Blade, really appreciate what he has done for many months now, maybe 6 or 7 months. When our previous road supervisor left, he stepped up and was willing to assume that role. We have been advertising, and we did elect to advertise for 1 more month. So Justin continues to be the interim. Appreciate his work, and he basically every day at work is a job interview, a continuation of a job interview. And so there will be additional advertising this month, but I do expect at the October meeting we will consider if there are additional applicants or the applicants we would have in addition to Justin. And certainly he has shown us what he's able to do, and so I expect that action will be taken at the October meeting regarding the permanent road superintendent. But wanting to keep all avenues open. We know the labor market is tight, and so that will be advertised 1 more month. Sherry Euchre was appointed as the Adams County North Dakota Association of Counties Conference delegate. So like many organizations, there is in this case a state organization that all of the counties participate in, I believe, but they can participate in, and there's an annual conference which provides education, networking. I know for myself it's been very valuable to network with other county commissioners, ask them questions about products they're using on roads or policies or all of the issues that come up. And so it's a valuable time. But Sherry Euchre, county employee, was appointed as that delegate. One of the big items, and I've had some questions from the public too, so I would like to spend just a little bit of time here. Mayor Lindquist was in attendance and part of the discussion. Attorney Roseland had provided us with a proposed public works agreement draft and also a joint powers agreement that is a new agreement. So basically, let me just back up a little bit in that as of April of this past year, and I've shared some information about this previously, but April of this past year, the county, who had previously for many, many years provided that city sewer relationship, and you're well aware of all of this, Sean, we didn't have a person to fill that. We were short at the county as well. At that time, we were also having some struggles, quite honestly, with making sure that the cost borne for those services by the county as a whole was adequately being paid by the city. And so there was an action in April to terminate the existing contract, basically to allow us, or to force us, sometimes we need to be forced, sadly, to create a new relationship that once again is very cooperative in spirit and nature. The county continues to want to be very supportive of the city, but two things to me are very important. For each entity, they have to be responsible for costs. So if it's county costs, I think we as a county residents as a whole expect to bear that cost. If it's city, the same. Certainly townships are no different. They bear their costs, so we all bear our cost. And the other piece, and I think maybe the most critical, is none of us should be in agreements that we can't fulfill. And quite honestly, as a commissioner and from a county perspective, we were agreeing to provide services to the city, which I would assume every city resident is very dependent on their water and sewer.
I would assume, yeah. It's kind of, everybody needs water. You need water to live, is what I've been told.
Okay, yeah, so that's my assumption. And the county was saying that, yes, we can provide those services, when, as I looked at it as a commissioner, we didn't necessarily have the people. Nathan Noggle, to his credit, even though he took a different position in the county, has continued in that role. But that isn't a long-term solution because he has another role. And so that was some of what caused that action to be taken. So the city knew back in April that the public works agreement was ending. The water and sewer was not going to be part of the new agreement. So fast forward to where we are today. That's the purpose of reviewing a proposed agreement, right? A new agreement. And the agreement is exactly the spirit I want to see, that the county continues to be very helpful and very cooperative of the city in providing services that cover the cost of those services, but that the city then would take on the responsibility of the water and sewer, okay, and that primary supervision. So it wouldn't be the county saying to the city, this needs to be done. It would be the city coming to the county saying, would you help with this project? Snow removal, alleyway maintenance, sign projects, putting up Christmas lights, anything that requires more than one person, right? So that's where we're at today. We've seen a proposed agreement. I think the city council probably reviewed that as well this week. Given that the current agreement ends October 10th, our county commission meeting is on October 8th, so that'll be in advance of that. So I expect action to be taken on that. Certainly I value feedback from the city, and we want to work together to make sure that the agreement is workable, right? But I think it's important for the public to know, and where some of the questions I've gotten are related to the tax statements, the estimate of tax statements, and why are my taxes going up? I'll get into the budget in a bit for the county, but some of the questions I've heard from city folks relate back to the city having to hire this position. Okay. What I want to be clear about, and would happy to answer any questions, unless the city is proposing new functions or new projects, or ultimately if the county was subsidizing those previously or providing them at a lower cost than the city can, there shouldn't be a difference because it's the city doing the work versus hiring it out. So I think it's important to understand that. I haven't been involved with the city budgeting process, but I know there's quite a bit of confusion about that, and so those are good things that I would hope the public would dig into and better understand. But purely from a county perspective, there shouldn't be a difference. The city will only pay for the services that they want from the county, and there too, that's at cost. Let me jump into Billy Dorr from Bros gave an update. Previously, I've talked about the Haynes Bridge. There's a bridge to the south side of Haynes. Previously, the county was approved to have that removed along with the replacement of the Schmaltz Bridge at 100% funding, so you can't beat that. But we ran into some issues and some questions as to should it be removed, or potentially the idea of selling it to a landowner so it could continue to be accessed by the landowner. Ultimately, I believe with Attorney Roseland's recommendation, I think we're on the path just to removing that. Likely that wouldn't take place until I think 2026 is when that funding has been delayed to, but that garnered a lot of discussion at the meeting. In addition, the Country Club Road project, the plan in 2025 is to do a slight widening of the Country Club to mill it up, basically from city limits out to the Country Club. I think if it's 3.5 miles or thereabouts, and then replace the culverts in the existing road that need that. So the plan would be actually at the end of that process in 25 is that it would be a gravel road. And I expect that there would be efforts in next year to budget in 2026 for some type of surface on that road. And the reason for keeping it as a gravel is, I think, a lesson learned by the county commission to provide time for soft spots and any issues that needed to be addressed. Once you put that surface on, it's much harder to deal with that and much more expensive. And we've got examples of that in that county. So that's a big project for the county. Kind of with that, just jumping into the budget. The budget hearing was held at 1 o'clock. Certainly appreciate those members of the public that attended, and there was questions, and I think that is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Whether it be at the hearing or any time of the year, that information is all accessible to the public, and I applaud anybody that wants to dig into that and understand it, because those are your tax dollars, and as a commissioner I take how we utilize those very seriously. Overall, the county budget is up about 6%, and I'm speaking about the county budget. So I think most of my tax estimates were about 3% higher, if I remember right. But the county piece, and this is overall, it'll vary by property and et cetera, but our total, I think, was about a 6% increase. Some of the drivers of that, we did a 5% increase in wages, still dealing with some inflationary pressures there and just the labor market. I feel we have very good county employees. We want to keep them, and we want to keep being a strong employer so that we can provide the services that the public needs. In addition to that, as I mentioned, Country Club Road project, that's around $1 million, a little bit more, so that's a big project, a lot of dollars going into that. And then the other significant project is the Black and Blue Road project, which is northeast of Lemon. Basically from the rodeo grounds on the east side of Lemon, it would go from that intersection out to where the road turns to gravel. We did get some flex grant funding from the state, $300,000 to go toward that project, so that will help. The plan with that is to mill that road to bring some additional gravel into it, but likely to keep it gravel, potentially using like a mag chloride or some other product that would harden the surface and minimize the dust, but that project is planned for next year. the public may see, I believe Bros Engineering is who we've worked with on these projects. I think November is what was stated is when those will be bid. So we did bid the black and blue project this current year, late in the year, and the bid came back really high. And the thought was that, most contractors probably had their work schedule full. But between these two projects, Country Club and Black and Blue, certainly hope we can get competitive bids and get that project done next year. Interim Road Supervisor Justin Blade, he provided proposed rate sheets for 2025, so for equipment and labor and also the landfill. So the landfill, once again, wanting to keep it as affordable as possible while still trying to cover the cost of it. In general, the equipment rates went up $10 an hour, so that would be like blading, blades, payloaders, all of that type of thing. So most of that work is going to be done either with the city of Hettinger, so that rate would apply to them, in addition to townships. So there are townships that contract with the county to have road work done, and so those rates would apply there. The labor rate of $45 an hour didn't change. So we that was something that was in place for a long time at an amount under $30, which didn't cover the costs at all. Last year we did get that increase to $45 as our rate sheet, effective June 1st. The city did agree to accept that as well, and it'll continue then for $45 in the coming year. So, I think that's what questions do you have, Sean? You're a resident.
I don't have any questions, honestly. The only thing I was going to bring up was the tax thing. I saw somebody comment on that on Facebook, but you kind of covered that. So,
yeah, and I just really encourage. So everybody's aware of the constitutional measure, right? Measure 4, and I think we all have a responsibility to understand the issue. I mean, there's emotion with things. I think we're all emotional, and we all would like to get rid of property tax, right? In theory, that leaves more money in our pocket. But I really challenge people to understand consequences, right? It's a bit ironic. I'm a county commissioner, so the North Dakota Association of Counties has opposed it. Basically, all of the I think from school boards to city councils to economic development to retailers to rural electrics to farmers union, there's just a whole list of groups that represent most of us that have opposed it. Now, why have they opposed it? That, I think, is the question that I would ask or hope that the public would dig into a little bit, because I think it's important that we understand some of those circumstances. I believe it needs a lot of reform. I can use Adams County as an example, and I have, whereby half of the population is in Hettinger, approximately, and 18% of the value is in Hettinger. So is that fair? For every dollar that's generated by the county, it isn't equal by person, and I don't know that that would be fair either. But my point being is that, one, that we understand how the revenue is derived. 2, that we hold our elected officials accountable. If we think taxes are too high, then be a candidate or get somebody in those offices, whether at the local or state level, that has spending priorities similar to you. But ultimately, understand the consequences. And I'm all for tax reform, property tax reform, but I have concerns with how it is stated. The last thing I'll mention is that I expect in the near future there's a local ag group, I guess I would describe them as, that represents agriculture in the area, that is planning to have a candidate for them. And something I'm really excited about. There too, specific to county commission, we have 4 candidates for 2 seats, and I think that's something we all should celebrate, including myself as an incumbent. I've been honored to serve. I'd love to continue to serve. I feel I provide value to the residents, but this is great. And I want the public to, one, vote, but two, to be educated and informed when they vote. So just because I'm a Larson, that shouldn't get my vote. What have I done? Have I been effective as a commissioner? Have I done things I shouldn't? Have I failed to do things I should? And then with the folks, the two candidates that aren't incumbents, ask them, what is their plan? What issues do they see? How do they view government? Get to know them, not just their family or their name or if they're a nice person. I would argue the county commission, the city council, make important decisions that affect our daily lives. And so let's all be informed as we make local election decisions as well as state and national as well. But with that forum, I do expect some advertising, so I would just encourage the public to look out for that. And if it works for you to participate and use that as an opportunity to better know your candidates, I would encourage you to do so.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, thanks for coming in this morning, Anthony, and we'll probably see you in October.
Thanks so much. Take care, Sean.
All right. That was our TTO segment this morning. Currently 73 degrees in downtown Hettinger. Keep it tuned.